Hi, this is 2350 class, and we are looking at lab assignment 9. For my students, it is located on the public server, and it's under my name, Zarzycka_2350, lab assignment 9. And go ahead and copy the entire folder to your desktop. I already copied mine, and obviously I have more than a few files. We're gonna start by opening car JPEG into Photoshop. And what's nice thing about Photoshop, if you work with it, you can take seemingly not the most impressive photo and make it even stand out even more than what it is, but it does help when you have good photography. I mean, that's the point. So you're going to, oh, that opened up, not there. Glitch in the making. If you see that on video, don't close your eyes and open them again, they'll be gone. So we are going to duplicate this layer. Command J is the duplicate. And then when you duplicate it, go ahead and rename this Van. And we are going to make some adjustments, but the first thing we are going to do is adjust maybe some contrast and add a little bit more to the image, because right now it looks really flat. And for that, we are going to do permanent adjustment using curves. So we're going to go under Image, Adjustments, and then Curves. Or Command M is the command for that. And what you want to create to add a little bit of contrast with adjustments, it's a lazy S. So I will add a point right here. You'll notice where I put, and then another one in the bottom. Kind of create a sloping S. It's not a big change, and you can kind of see where I placed those points. The 2 points that I placed, and I kind of adjusted it, and it gives you a little bit more of contrast in an image. It's not going to be a big change, and most of the photos that you get need to be adjusted somewhat, but we're going to adjust it a little bit more. What we're going to do with the finished product, we want to make the van color changed and have a different color, and then the background make it black and white. So do OK. Next we are going to adjust the image vibrance even more, and we are going to do this as again a permanent change. So go under Image, Adjustments, Vibrance. Okay, and why don't you see the difference between vibrance and saturation? Anybody knows the difference? If you do, tell me now, because I'm gonna pause my. So don't forget, saturation will remove the color completely out of the image. Vibrance will just decrease the intensity of the color itself. Okay, so we are going to drop the vibrance. I'm gonna leave the saturation at 0 and then drop the vibrance to -100. Just drop it all the way and do OK. Next we are going to select the van, and we are going to select it. You can use different ways of selection, but I want to introduce you to a new way that will be good for some things that you need to select. Notice however how much color you have in the image, and this selection called color range allows you to select color that is similar in the image and select most of it. So we're going to do select color range, and right now I have fuzziness and range. Fuzziness kind of looks at how much similarity in color you have, and range how much, I guess, difference coming from the color you can select. So what we want to do right away, we want to check localized color clusters, because we want to select the range as well. So fuzziness, I think of it as a tolerance level, and range is the area that you're selecting. Okay, so, and we are going to pick up, doesn't matter what the number is right now, we are going to pick up some mid-tone shade from the van. Something like this is good. Yeah, the mid-tone orange. Okay, and now one thing you notice is not picking up everything. and you can adjust the fuzziness, which is the tolerance. It will pick up more color, and we're gonna adjust that to about 130 for that one. And then the range is looking at adjustments to similarities in colors. If I go really high, I can pick more, but in this case we can stick between 60 65. Okay, between 60 65. But we're not done yet because there's much more different colors in the van. What we want to do is select the eyedropper plus right here. You can also use the modifier key, shift, and we are going to add elements around the van. And don't worry if you can see some of the background in it. So we want to go into it and select some parts that are a little bit darker and a little lighter. And don't worry if your trash can becomes selected, because we can easily deselect it using lasso tool. So just go around the areas, and some of it we have to retouch tiny bit. Do not select really the darkest areas here, because it's going to pick up way too much. So you want to still stay pretty much within the van itself. Okay? And so that should be okay. So something like this will be fine. And please be mindful that the projector will not show it exactly right. It actually shows it lighter than it is in the background. So once you do select it and you do it correctly, click OK. And you can see that it's selected, and you can zoom out. So first we're going to analyze, make sure it didn't pick up any color in the fence, which it didn't. It picked up my trash can. So I'm going to do my lasso tool, and we are removing from a selection. So you're going to hold the option key and just draw around it with option key. Now anything else in the van that we want to select, let's say I have a dot right here, I don't know, it's random right here. I want to use my shift key to add. So what you need to add is a few things. You don't need to add everything, but like here, this that needs to be added here in the selection. Some dots here. So go around maybe part of this here. So go around, and anything in the paint that is not being selected, go ahead and add that in, holding the option key and the regular lasso tool. So that's what we're gonna do next. Add that in. And you notice I am zooming in pretty close, and I'm doing a small portion at a time. So do a small section to select it. All this here has to be added. Do not worry about the window too much. We can leave the window picked up. The color doesn't matter. Only what matters the most is the paint. Like this has to be added too. Underneath. And don't worry too much if it's not perfect. You want to be as close as you can. Pick up all the marching ants in an image. Look around it. Make sure you're not missing anything. Okay, I think I am done with that step. So I don't know if I said it correctly, but Option plus will add to a selection, and Shift will Shift will add to a selection, and Option will, or Alt will remove from the selection. And I think if I said it backwards, that was my bad. But Shift adds when you do the lasso, and Option key will remove. So after we have it all selected, now we need to change the color of the van, and we're going to do adjustment layer, hue saturation. So go ahead and click on the adjustment layer and do hue saturation. And what you're going to do is only adjust the hue and want to make it like kind of like a mint green shade. So I'm moving it towards the right side. We're looking around 135, 40, around that for the minivan. So don't forget what measurements that we're putting in, and you can see right away if it's coming out okay. And it's this part is pretty forgiving unless you really mess up on your color. And now to notice, very important part to understand is this button here that you press below it to only affect the layer below. So you always want to make sure you click on that. That is very important. Okay. So we have that selection done. So once the minivan color change, what we want to do, we're going to make it into a permanent change. So we're going to merge hue saturation with the van by doing Command E, merge down. So you have a merger right now. Now, using any other way of selecting it, I guess we could have done it before and saved the selection, but I like to make it hard. We're gonna select the minivan again. But you can use a quick selection this time, if it's quick for you. Shouldn't be that long with the quick selection because we neutralize as much color as we could. So you can use the quick selection to select the van.
Wait, do you duplicate the layer before that?
Okay, so now I probably have too much selected in here, so I need to move it using maybe at my last. So this should be much faster to do. Oh, wrong key. And you can even do the magnetic lasso for the top of the van to remove it. Lesson learned. Make sure you hold the key down when you do this. So I'm holding my key. And there's my van. Okay, once you select the top or bottom part of the color, we're gonna make everything else black and white. So make sure you look around the van, make sure everything that you need to have is selected correctly. We don't want to have any color. It's gonna become black and white. Once the van is selected, then go ahead and inverse your selection because we want to actually select the background. So inverse. So you have the background selected, and then we're gonna go adjustment layer, black and white. And here, black and white, you can modify the settings a little bit. So if the image has a little bit red in it, you can see by the trash can, it kind of changes it up. Doesn't have much yellow in the image. Cyan, a little bit, only in some poster. You see cyan. Cyan you can see in the windows, and then you have blue, the most blue in the image. So you can adjust it, make it a little bit better, more contrast. So now you can see how relatively, and not a very interesting image became a little bit more interesting with the change when we have the selective one. And then you can do this for anything, where you can just select one part to be in color and everything else can be black and white. So when you are done, you're going to save this image in a folder that you will create. So go ahead and do save as. This is going to be a JPEG, but so format will be JPEG. But I need you to create a new folder where you're gonna save the file into it. It's going to be 2350 underscore last name, first name underscore assign 9. And that's where you're gonna, so click create, and that's where you're going to save your document. After we finish the car, go ahead and open up Blonde Woman from the assignment folder, and we are going to change her eye color, lip color, hair color. There's some specific tips on how to change the hair. So first thing we are going to do is zoom in to her eyes, and you can use the quick selection tool. Only select her eye color, do not select her pupils. Okay, so only select the eye. Only the eye color. If the pupils get selected, use the lasso tool and remove them from a selection. Don't forget option, remove from the selection when you hold it down, and shift add to the selection, because we only want the color of her eyes. Okay. And there are different ways of doing eyes color. We're gonna do one of the ways is to do hue and saturation. So once you select with the quick selection mask, it's gonna create a layer mask into adjustment layers. So we're gonna do adjustment layer and select hue saturation. And then we're gonna change her eye color. You can do any eye color you want. I'm gonna make it green. So then I deselected everything, and I did my hue saturation. And after that, we are going to select her lips, and you can start with a quick selection when you do the lips. However, we may have to add to the selection a little bit and modify it. So I'm using the lips, and it added way too much, so I'm going to use a lasso tool to clean it up. So I'm doing a regular lasso tool option and removing from selection, and then adding here to the selection. So I'm adding and removing depending on the part of the lip. Now one thing, when it comes to the lip itself, it will create, anytime you do a selection and you create adjustment layer, it will do a layer mask that you can modify, and we're gonna do a modification with the lip. So once you select the lip, and it's okay if you don't do the best job, because again it's gonna be a layer mask and we'll be able to modify a few things. Then you can always click on under select, or right here, notice that select and mask appears for any selection right here on top. You can select that and then smooth it out tiny bit, maybe 5 points for the lips, and do okay. But make sure you're on the background layer when you select it. I think I wasn't. So let's do this again. Select and mask. Make sure you're in the background layer when you do it, because if you're not in the background layer, it won't work. Okay. So everybody in the background layer when you did that, and we are going to make this one, we're going to change it to more like a purple shade, but I want to show you how to use channel mixer. Okay, go ahead and click on channel mixer. So I want to tell you, notice for the channel mixer you have presets and then you have output channel. I want you to pay attention to this. This is very important, the output channel, because if I'm in the red, and this image has red in it, right, but we want to create purple. Purple has a lot of blue in it, so we're going to change the channel to blue. And when you're working with color, make sure the lips do not come out plastic, because if they do, you have removed the highlights and the shadows. You want to make sure the highlights and the shadows are there. So I change the channel to blue, and then we can play with the blue setting. And don't forget to clip it underneath. Green setting and red setting. Red will do the most, because red is really opposite of blue. So notice the most you do to get a purple is manipulating the red. I should have started with the red. And there's purple lip, right? you can modify it more. If we go to the red channel, we can make it, look, notice you can make it blue now if I move the red. We're not gonna make it blue, but you can adjust, so you can see, you can adjust the red tiny bit to make it more purple. Okay, you can adjust the green. However, I wouldn't recommend doing that because notice what happens with the lips. See, it's coming up kind of fake looking. Okay, so it's probably a better idea to just stay within the channel that you had. It's probably a better idea. It will create less issues. However, you notice I have a line here going around. Do you any of you have the lines going around? That kind of, you may have to smooth them out. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have it, depending how you played with the color or not. But I have it. I'm going to close this. I want to show you, this is a mask, don't forget this. So we are going to manipulate the lips a little bit more and fade those lines on the sides. So how you do it, don't forget, black conceals, white reveals. And we are in the mask, so make sure you are in the mask for channel mixer mask, layer mask. And select the brush. Set the setting pretty low, around the flow to be around 20. Maybe 20 will be fine. And then we can change the brush. Make sure your brush, we're gonna do it around size, I mean it can be 45, 50, and the hardness. We don't want to make it too hard, so I'm going to make it all the way soft. So 0% hardness. Then we're gonna clean it up. Now keep in mind, if I do white, white does what? Reveals. So we need to do black because black conceals. And if it's not low to overflow, we can increase that so you can see. I think I'm gonna, yeah, for me 20 was too low. I increased that to about 66, 70. And I have black. I don't know what happened there. But kind of randomly drawing things on my page. I don't know what is going on with it. So you can go around it, clean it up tiny bit. Okay. And that's pretty good. I'm gonna leave it. Projector has completely killed it. So if you're watching online, you're watching my video, see it much better than in class. So now we're gonna do the hair. Again, I'm clicking back on the background. One thing with the hair, if you do, we're gonna do a quick mask for it. Remember how you did a quick mask for the legs when we had to vary the flow? So go ahead and click on the quick mask. So one thing, the brush is too small. I'm gonna increase that using my right bracket key. So if I go white, white reveals, black conceals. So we want to conceal this. This is too big. All right, let me adjust my brush. So what you want to do around the forehead, we're going to go pretty low, probably around 16, 17 on the flow. My brush size is about 300 soft, 0% hardness. But somehow it's randomly placing things. I don't know what's going on with my brush. It wasn't 300. Something is going on with my computer, so I may have to restart it. Found out what the issue was? Was because my other class assignment we had to do some things. Anyway, that was good, I hope. So low flow about 16. The brush size will be, I'm gonna make it about 35. And I'm going around the forehead, and that's what you want to do first. Okay, go around the forehead. So you notice, really selecting the background. What we did, we masked out the head, right? So we gotta invert it. So I want to wait a little bit till you're finished selecting it. And I went over too much on the ear. So yeah, I went a little bit too much here on the ear. So I'm going to go back to my quick selection mask right here and then switch that and then show it more. Okay, and then go back. So my selection is complete, and I am ready to invert it so I can select the hair. So once you finish, go ahead and do select inverse. So it's the hair will be selected. And you will not see the flow until you actually do the color. So after that, make sure again you're still in the background, and go ahead and click on. You can do any color, but I think the most choices you have would be under channel mixer. Okay, so we're gonna do channel mixer, and you want to make the color different, and we can select. You can play with any color and change the different modes. Ooh, I have pink. There it is. This is exactly what I'm going for. And you notice if my line here, my forehead is pretty smooth, the only thing here I need to touch up is this side. Do you see how I'm going to touch it up? See, here is kind of more line. So it is since yeah, some of you need to kind of touch it up like around the forehead. Since it is a layer mask, I can do this using my brush and then clean it up with a lower flow. So let me undo. I'm going to lower the flow around 10. Just go around here and clean it up. So if you have a solid line, do this really quick. Make sure you do the strokes like this. So that's where it will clean up all the edges and make it seem like it's part of the hair and not some bad hair job. You can even play more with this. Show more hair like that color more. Now it's not as light on my computer, okay? I'm going to make it a little bit lighter for y'all. But you want to make sure you play with the different channels when you work with this. So now we are going to save this, and it's going to be a JPEG as well. And we are going to name this, I'm just going to remove the copy, because anytime you save it, it makes it a copy. And just save over like completed file in the documents that you've done. And then save.